This show is powered by BL3P, the Lightning-enabled European Bitcoin exchange.
Connect the world.
Will Damus.io, Vancouver, Canada.
Canada's winter is no joke. Temperatures in certain parts of this northern country can drop to around minus 40 Fahrenheit. However, you're unlikely to experience such frigid temperatures in Canada's largest cities. Most of the country experiences temperatures of around 23 Fahrenheit to 5 Fahrenheit during winter. Do you know the all-time low was minus 81 Fahrenheit and recorded in February 1947 in Yukon Territory?
No.
Is it true that you've received around half a Bitcoin worth of SAPs on Nostr?
Yes.
Will you still be living in Canada in 2030?
No.
Do you know a pizza Hawaii, so ham, cheese and pineapple, was invented in Ontario, Canada by a Greek named Sam Panopoulos?
Yes.
Do you already understand BitVM?
No.
You worked for Monstercat, a record company that focuses on electronic dance music and releases for artists like Infected Mushroom, Marshmallow and Packboard Nerds. The label specializes in dubstep, drum and bass and trap music. Have you participated in more than 10 mosh pits while working for the company?
No.
Is it true that you started programming at the age of 10 already?
Yes.
Do apples taste different these days?
Yes.
Have you ever had an ostrich steak?
No.
Are you Satoshi Nakamoto?
No.
Welcome to the Connected World Weekly Podcast. I'm Edward.
And I'm Steph. We are ready to take you with us into the beautiful world of the Lightning Network.
Enjoy the ride. This is episode 94 of Connect the World, right hitting 100, so 94 this time. And this show is again made possible by our friends from BL3P, the European Bitcoin exchange, which is located in the Netherlands. Thank you guys for helping us out with our mission. And if you also want to help out to Connect the World, then follow us on Twitter, subscribe to our YouTube channel, or if you have any questions at all, go to our Connect the World Telegram group. Or, of course, the Rings of Fire group for all those new users who are running a Lightning node, then you're most welcome in our Telegram group. And, of course, you can also make a donation. Conecta el mundo.
Welcome, Will.
Welcome.
Awesome
good to have you on the show.
Yeah. Finally.
Last time we met it was in October at our Nostr Damus meeting in Amsterdam. So it was Edward, you already said it. It feels like so long ago, but it was only 1.5 months.
Yeah, it's amazing.
So crazy, man.
There's a lot. It's been a lot of conferences in the past month. I'm just glad to be home working on Damus again.
Yeah. Which conferences did you attend the past few weeks?
So we started off at Pacific Bitcoin, then we flew to Amsterdam, and then we went to Indonesian Bitcoin conference in Bali, and then we ended up in Australia and Japan. So I basically went around the entire planet in 1 month, which was kind of fun.
So it's like how do you say it? I'm immediately thinking about Formula One, right? Where they
Abu Dhabi.
race on all these continents and the drivers get really exhausted. Are you also exhausted, Will, now?
All the jet lags.
Yeah, I mean, it was cool to talk to a lot of people about, like, this is the first time I feel like Nostr was more represented in a lot of the Bitcoin conferences. So it's really cool just talking to people about Nostr. But yeah, it's exhausting.
I can imagine because you said it already, Nostrasia. That's the ultimate place to be, right? If you've done all those conferences and then to attend to Nostrasia is great, of course. Then you really feel what everybody's building now.
It was great to end on that conference because just to see everyone in together and working on what they've been working on the past year, it just was incredible. Like wrap up to the entire year. So
it is.
Yeah, cool.
Yeah.
And will you still be living in Canada in 2030? We asked, and you said no. And I saw your posts on Nostra about I think it was regulations that are now in Canada, which make it impossible for you to run like your own bank or do your own transactions, right? Can you maybe explain how this works now in Canada?
Yeah, it's bizarre because like, I was kind of caught off guard by this. There's this guy named UTXO on Nostr, and I guess he runs nodelist.io, which is it seems to be some type of like open node style thing where you can kind of accept lightning payments. And yeah, the CRA, like, basically the IRS of Canada, they seem to have come after him for some reason as like, because he didn't have a money transmitting license, or so are they acknowledging that Bitcoin's money, and like, how does that even apply to a lightning node? So yeah, I mean, this is the first, this happened again during the truckers protest where they went after the multi-sig wallets. So it seems like they're really cracking down on, Bitcoiners. And so it made me more steadfast to either get out of this country or like focus more on KYC like solutions like RoboStats, which I'm really bullish about.
Yeah, I can imagine. But is it also then for just you as an individual running your own Lightning node? That's what they also after.
Well, who knows? Like these guys are just a bunch of thugs, right? They probably don't have a really consistent reason why they're going after these people. Like I wouldn't be surprised if they were start coming after people who are running Lightning nodes. Like I run my own Lightning node for Damus, and that's how kind of people donate to me directly in the app. So maybe they would consider that as like not allowed, and I don't know. So it's kind of a risk at this point.
Yeah, and talking about donations, man, Zaps, is it called in Nostr? You received over half a Bitcoin, man. It's
over a Bitcoin now.
Over a Bitcoin even.
Yeah.
Wow.
On my Lightning node, I think I have like 180,000 invoices or something that people have sent me.
That's crazy. But is it just like interactions on your posts, or are people directly sending funds to you through a donation? Or, I mean, how does it work?
So we actually have like a feature in Damus, which is like, it was eventually like rejected out of the App Store, but there's still a way to enable it secretly. So if you're curious, you can kind of look into how you might do that. But it's a way of basically whenever you zap someone's post, you have an optional donation where you can send a percentage of that zap to Damus to support development. So that's kind of like the main reason why I have so many like zaps on my node is because of that feature.
Okay, so these are not the transactions directly to you as a person, but these are percentages of people that are zapping other people.
Yeah, because we're trying to test this theory of like this value for value idea where we didn't want to do subscriptions because kind of subscriptions are based off of like, well, what if they're not using the app, then they're paying when they're not really paying. Whereas this idea of like taking a split of the zap would be more reasonable for most people. If people aren't using the app, they don't have to pay, but if they're using the app, they can support the app. So we like that idea. But actually most of that Bitcoin doesn't come from those. Those are actually pretty small amount. Usually most of that Bitcoin from zaps have been directly to my profile.
And I also remember the discussion about changing the like button to well, not to like something or put a heart on it, but to zap directly, right? So if you like something, then zap it. That's
that was the moment where zaps really took off in terms of like earnings. But ever since Apple removed that, then my zaps have gone down in terms of earnings.
Of course.
yeah, obviously, yeah. Hey, and you started programming at the age of 10. What did you start with?
Very early.
What does a 10-year-old want to program, man? I mean, I can't imagine. When I was 10 years old, I was like playing outside with my friends, just playing soccer or football, and then you were already programming.
Yeah, I mean, I got a computer when I was pretty young, and I was always obsessed with like video games. I was like, maybe as like someone who naturally likes to understand how things work, I really wanted to understand how they were made. So I became kind of obsessed with like, I really wanted to make video games, and that's how I got started into programming. But my first program was like converting Celsius to Fahrenheit in C++ or something. It was not really that exciting.
well,
C++ for most people is more difficult. Of course.
But I just used a tool on Google to look what was minus 81 Fahrenheit, because we are Celsius.
How much is it, Steph?
It was like I think it was 40. No, I don't remember any. No, it was less than 40. I don't know. I didn't remember, but it was really cool.
The weather in Canada, of course, is not too. It's nothing of the weather here in the Netherlands, right?
No.
If you compare
it's different. Yeah. Man. Hey, and yeah, well, if we told that 10-year-old that he will develop a app that will be rejected by the biggest software company in the world so many years later, I think maybe you can call it. Is it a dream for you? I mean, it sucks obviously that they reject it, but it can also be a compliment, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I've always done stuff in software that like kind of pushes the boundaries where people I'm not supposed to be doing. Like I was kind of mischievous as a kid. Like I think I was a part of the big the Half-Life 2 beta community that like they leaked the source code for this game that wasn't out yet, and I was like hacking on it, and I've always been like kind of mischievous, like reverse engineering things. So I always kind of like pushing the boundaries, seeing like what I'm allowed to do and not allowed to do. But so it's really interesting to push up against like a $1 trillion corporation and see what if they allow me to do something or not. But yeah, you quickly learn that no, there's certain things you're just not supposed to do, like mess with their revenue stream. That's pretty important to them. And also in China, like the important thing to do is not mess with their control of free speech.
Yeah,
so I learned that very quickly.
Yeah.
And then so coming up to these large power structures and seeing how they react is actually, it's kind of fun, and it actually just leads to like a lot more PR for my app. So it's like, well, then not too bad.
Yeah, but so was it like your first reaction? Was it like sadness, or was it like cheering because you made something that really got the attention of those big players?
Well, my initial reaction was I was really pissed off because
I
knew that like adding it to the zaps to the nose was like going to be the big reason why Damus succeeds, at least financially. And once they kind of like screwed me on that, I'm like, well, shit, like back to the drawing board. I have to do like these horrible models that I truly believe the value for value model. I know it can work if they allow me to do that one thing, but they're not allowing me to do that one thing. So my initial thing was very angry because I at the time I was the morning of the first day of the Oslo Freedom Forum. Like I'm like literally on the ground talking to like human rights activists about how they need these types of technologies to like fund their things. And Apple's coming at me like they're saying, no, you can't do that because we don't get enough money from you, even though it's like they're $1 trillion corporation, yet like this could be helping these people in like the global south. And it just got me pissed off. So I'm like, I wanted to go to the news about this because like it just seemed really unfair. But at some point you just realize it's like you don't really have that much power in the situation. They don't really care about whatever news article you write about them because they're just too powerful.
I think also the most important thing is that it shows how, why it is so important, right? Because it started with the whole China problem that you see. Well, Nostr is about uncensored communication, right? So if they block it, if they see it as a problem, then it must mean that it actually works. But the zaps, well, that's its core. It's so important to be able to have that feature in Nostr. So that's a real problem.
I mean, the zaps is Bitcoin, its relation to Nostr. Like there's a lot of confusion. People think that Nostr is built on Bitcoin or something. It's not. It's completely independent from Bitcoin. But I see them as very synergistic technologies, whereas Bitcoin is representing free speech money, and Nostr represents free speech in cyberspace, and kind of like also taking back our data and controlling our data. So it makes sense to combine them, and they're a powerful force together, I think.
Yeah. Well, guys, we prepared a lot of questions about Nostr
and Damus,
and Damus, and your vision on Bitcoin, obviously, Will. So, but it has to be in the 21 minutes, man. So, if you're ready, we would really love to enter that part.
Let's do it.
All right,
let's do it.
Conectează lumea.
Well, like you said, you've entered the Bitcoin space since 2010 and seem to have an enormous passion for everything related to decentralized solutions. And when first seeing the Nostr protocol, did you instantly see similarities with Bitcoin? We talked about it a little bit just before, but what triggered you to start checking it out and seeing that it is very intertwined?
I didn't really see it as like immediately related to Bitcoin, because I was really looking in this space, in a different area, which is in ActivityPub and Mastodon. And I was really struggling with a lot of the kind of the issues that we were running into on that side, which is in some sense there was like more censorship. There was more, you didn't have control of your data. So Bitcoin has that aspect where you actually control your keys. And that's a really powerful idea. And so that's what was missing from ActivityPub and Mastodon. So once I saw Nostr, I'm like, wow, this actually fixes a lot of issues with other decentralized protocols. The Bitcoin thing only kind of came after, when I realized like, well, it'd be really cool to have Bitcoin in a social network, but they're actually quite different. It's not really Nostr is not peer-to-peer like Bitcoin. No. So they share similarities in terms of like the signature scheme they use. So they use Schnorr signatures. But other than that, there's not too much that are the same.
And what are the biggest differences between traditional social media and Nostr?
Yeah, so the biggest difference is in pretty much every other social media, you are talking to a single server, and that single server is usually a centralized corporation, some big tech corporation that has all your data, and they can deplatform you for any reason. And you don't really have control over your digital sovereignty or your digital social graph. Whereas Nostr is the first time where it kind of breaks this idea of just instead of sending your notes to one server, you're sending it to, let's say, 10 different servers controlled by different people, and we call these relays. And just doing this one little simple thing and just sending it to more servers instead of one, it basically just creates this censorship resistance where you can't be deplatformed, you can't be censored for things you want to say, which is becoming increasingly important in this day and age where people are getting censored more and more for things they want to say.
Yeah, that's right. And of course, Nostr has many more possibilities than only social media and communication. And not so long ago, we saw also a Nostr client, Vlogster, which is focused on a visual and user-friendly experience for organizers for meetups or events to make direct contact with their community members. Can you discuss some other projects that are momentarily being built and what excites you the most?
Yeah, I mean, so people are building, Reddit alternatives, which is really interesting. There's a website called zap.stream, which is going to be like the Twitch TV, replacement. So there's lots of people who are replacing existing apps into a more decentralized way. So those are all kind of pretty exciting. I'm really interested in email. I want to replace email with Nostr because I hate email and I hate writing mailing lists. So if you can make it easier using Nostr, that'd be great. And that could even help the Bitcoin Core mailing list because it's getting shut down right now. So I was thinking,
that's right. Yeah, the mailing list.
About ways maybe we could use Nostr. I mean, there's a lot of Nostr skeptics in Bitcoin Core, but I mean, if we just build some clients to show how easy it is, and maybe that'd be cool.
And this is also maybe a big difference compared to the traditional social media, that just people can just take the protocol and just build upon it, right? And make stuff that they really like, and then see if people will use it or they won't because they don't like it, for instance. But I think this is also one of the biggest differences between those social media, traditional social media platforms. And
it's like a protocol for builders. So people, developers, anyone in the world can just start building on this thing, and no one can stop them because you can run your own relay, you can do all your stuff in your own relay, or you can use other relays. It's great for builders.
Yeah. How does Nostr balance the principle of censorship resistance with providing a user-friendly experience? Because that might be difficult, especially for users accustomed to more traditional social media platforms.
There's nothing at the protocol level that prevents people to build apps just as good as Twitter or Instagram. It's really just like a dev resource thing at this point. I can totally imagine in the future where if there's some large corporation, 1,000 employees, who are going to build this slick Nostr app, technology-wise, there's no reason why that's not possible. So I think we're just early. We just haven't seen it yet.
Yeah. And Nostr, you talked about it a little bit. Nostr uses relays, and which ensure efficient and reliable communication between users. And every relay can set also its own policies. How does the diversity in relay policies impact the overall Nostr network?
Yeah, so I think the different relays can enact different policies, like you mentioned. Like for instance, one could have an AI spam filter where you're not allowed to say certain things, and maybe if you're a particular user who doesn't want to see certain content, you can only join those relays. And so it creates this free market of different experiences, and different apps can provide these different experiences that reach a wider variety of people. So it can reach a much wider market than, let's say, a lot of people, for instance, don't use Twitter because they're just not interested in that microblogging aspect. But some people are much more interested in a long form articles. Imagine if you made an app that was just blog posts and you follow blog posts. So I think Nostr can reach a wider market, which is really interesting in terms of app interoperability.
Yeah. And we saw the Habla project, which already has a long format communication that is indeed interesting. And then, for example, you can run your own newsletter or something like Ghost, or combine it with that. And I was thinking, you said Nostr relays. It doesn't mean that it's peer-to-peer. There are people who still don't know Nostr but think it is peer-to-peer. Can you maybe explain? Because people are thinking that, and we need to explain it better, I think. how those relays actually work. And well, you said it a little bit, but I think it's still a misunderstanding that exists.
Yeah, I mean, we have this saying in Nostr that, we're not peer-to-peer, therefore Nostr works. Because like peer-to-peer is actually really hard. Like your peers go offline, and then if you're trying to get notes from your peers and then they're not there,
work.
and then right? So, we have a more traditional model where you have a client that talks to a server. So this is like how pretty much most apps work. You have a client to talk to servers. The server's always there, and you can always get the notes. So we just add one extra little ingredient, which is like you don't just send to one server, you send to like N servers, like 5 different servers. But it's like a client to servers model. It's not a peer-to-peer model. There are some people looking into peer-to-peer approaches on Nostr, which is really interesting, but that's still very theoretical right now.
Okay, yeah, because when I was posting on Snort the other day, I also could see to which relays my message was sent and which didn't accept or were offline or something. So that shows a little bit about how it works, that you're sending it out and then others can read into it, of course.
Yep.
So yeah.
And given that relays can set their own policies, how does Nostr balance censorship resistance with the need for moderation against harmful content? Is there a need for moderation against harmful content in the first place?
Yeah, so that moderation job just becomes operation of the market now, right? So if you are interested in those things where you don't want to see certain content, naturally people are going to gravitate to relays that enact those policies. But there's some people who just prefer a more Wild West experience. You just see everything and everything horrible. And there's going to be public relays that don't censor anything. So you're going to see that there's going to be multiple different approaches tried. And I mean, I think the harmful thing with like Twitter or Instagram is that they only have one trust and safety team who are making all these decisions.
Yeah, that's right.
This centralization is what the issue is, not the moderation. The moderation can be in a much more, market-based result. So I think Nostr is going to be really good at that.
Yeah, so you can choose if you want moderation and against what harmful content that you choose yourself. Yeah.
And is there also a working mechanism for users to report or filter out undesirable content other than just picking the right relay?
Yeah, so actually even to get on the App Store, I had to create a new spec on Nostr called the reporting spec. But the kind is 1984. It was kind of funny. So you can report certain content. And the way that it works is that you click a note and click report, and you can say, well, this is illegal, this is porn, or this is spam. And then it'll send a note to all the relays you're connected to, and other clients can pull down those notes and actually hide. They can hide content automatically if you choose to set it up that way.
Okay.
You also used AI, right, to write the content that Apple wanted, or yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, here's their guidelines. ChatGPT, like, give me some EULA that will satisfy the app review, and then they did a really good EULA, and now that's what's in the app right now.
Yeah, because they throw work at you, right? It's horrible to dive into those texts.
Well, it's interesting because like a lot of their policies are based around centralized apps. So like one of the things is like you should have the ability to delete your account. It's like that's kind of hard to do on a decentralized network. I can't force the relays to delete the content. So yeah, it's tricky sometimes.
Yeah, it is. Well, there are some proposals also. We were talking about the harmful content to require some kind of hashcash proof of work before a client can post an event. How would this work technically, and what benefit could this bring to Nostr users?
So there's another spec that I created called the proof of work spec. And it's actually pretty simple, and all it does is each node has an ID, and that ID is a hash of all the contents, very much like a Bitcoin transaction. So you can actually keep increasing a nonce within the node that just like keeps grinding the ID until you get like some amount of proof of work on the ID itself, some number of leading 0 bits, the way I set it up. A little bit different from Bitcoin. It's a little bit simpler. It's actually basically hash cash from Adam back. But, I'm kind of like lost. I've kind of like decided this is probably not a good idea because spammers will probably always have more CPU than like a mobile device that, but then there's like this idea called delegated proof of work, which, since the signature, you can actually just like give your note to someone else without the signature, and they can do all the proof of work, and you can come back and then you can sign the ID. So I don't know, maybe in the future there's like service clients that will just do that, but it's kind of complicated. I don't know.
But I think it's interesting that you also said, well, it's add a nonce, right? And that it's also easy, and the general code of Nostr is also for developers easy. It's not very transparent and very simple protocol, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's literally just a JSON. I mean, if anyone's familiar with JSON, it's just a JSON blob with some piece of data of it. I think just that simplicity of just using that data format is actually a huge win, surprisingly.
It is.
And as Nostr grows, does it also come with technical limitations to the growth of relays, or what's your vision on that?
Yeah, it depends on the model you're using for fetching notes. So right now, the model that Damus uses, for instance, is like not really scalable when it gets to lots of people. Like you can maybe argue it's scalable because, for instance, Twitter scaled with one server. So like, why can Damus scale with one server? But then it's not. You lose decentralization over time. So that comes down to like, how do you like make this more scalable? So there's been new approaches in the ecosystem where instead of fetching from like a set of like 5 servers, like right now Damus, you configure 5 or 6 servers and it fetches from only those servers. But there's different ways to fetch notes and say like, maybe your friends, they say, these are my servers that I write to and read from. And then the clients are smart enough to like know what all your peers write and read to. And then it's much more decentralized in that sense. So we call that the gossip model or the inbox model or outbox model. So there's different approaches that can make it more scalable.
I also run a relay, and we run in the Netherlands, I think 4 to 6 relays that are mirroring. That's also a possibility, right? To mirror the same nodes, the same content to other relays that you trust, of course, because that's important.
Yeah. I mean, relays can act as clients, so they can just request notes from other relays and add them to their relay. And actually, in the next version of Damus, in the current version, we actually have a relay within the client so that you can, that relay can do the same thing, which is kind of cool.
That's cool. Yeah, it is. So inside your own Damus app, you have your personal relay, and then you can also perhaps have some relays from other people that you trust.
Yeah, it's a different kind of relay because other people are not really connecting to it. It's just you connect to it personally, and it can know how to talk intelligently to other relays. So clients are getting a lot smarter in terms of how they fetch and store data.
Yeah. And based on the current capabilities and structure of Nostr, what future developments or features are you most excited about for the near future then?
Yeah, so I've been working on this new technology called Nostr DB. And this is what I'm referring to as the relay within. It's like a custom built database specifically for Nostr nodes. And once we have that, it opens up a lot of different opportunities. Like right now, a big issue on a lot of clients is just searching for things. So if you have like a local database where you have like full text search for across all your notes, it could, then Nostr clients become a lot more powerful. They become like information and note management devices. And so I'm really excited for like just clients getting more and more powerful and smarter in that respect in terms of storing and searching notes. But yeah, in the future we might have more, we want to add more like zapping functionality, right? We want to make zapping more fun. We want people to zap more. So just having more advanced wallets and more advanced wallet information within the app is also interesting. So yeah, we'll see where it's going.
And let's continue with Damus. For a lot of Nostr users who have an iPhone, the Damus app was the first app they've used to talk to Nostr. Can you elaborate a little bit about the history when you first started building Damus, and how did you get more users to test it and gain some network effect?
Yeah, I didn't realize how big of a deal it is to like make an app. Like there's actually so many people who use apps and not like Linux desktop, native like apps. Like I grew up on my computer where I'm just so used to like running software on my computer, but it turns out most of the world are like, they're hooked on apps. So this was the first kind of big app I ever made. And now I realize the importance of apps in general. But yeah, it just started because I had an iPhone at the time. I'm not really even an iPhone person. I just had it for like the job that I was working at the time. I'm like, oh, this would be kind of fun to learn how to make an iPhone app. And there was no other mobile clients. And I'm like, and all the clients that existed were kind of slow and crappy. And at the time I was like the most popular Nostr account because I just posted way too much. And all the clients I was using would just break because they didn't handle the scale of my notes, which apparently I was just posting too much. So yeah, but I thought like, there's no way that it has to be this slow. So it was my first attempt to build like a really good Nostr client that was like, that would be scalable. And even today, like I have a lot of followers and I get a lot of notification. And it's a great way to test the scalability of my app, just because I'm just like constantly stress testing it every day. So it's kind of fun.
That's why you have so many nodes.
Exactly. Yeah. It's mostly just stress testing.
Hey, not so long ago, Sam Wouters, I think you've seen it, from River released a report about current state of the Lightning Network. And he gathered data from 52 of the public capacity and stated that 27% of the growth was due to gaming, social media tipping, and streaming. Well, we know how important the NIP 55, the zapping, which 57. You co-authored, 57 yeah, is for the adoption of the Lightning Network. We were interested in, of course, it's only 52% of the public data, the public capacity. We also talked to Sam on the Bitcoin Amsterdam conference. But my first question is, are the zaps the most important feature for Nostr to gain some even more network effect and to have some, more use cases that will touch non-Bitcoiners perhaps also to start using Nostr?
Yeah, I mean, like, I felt like on my Lightning node, I've been running it since 2018. I've never shut it down. It's a core Lightning node. And I probably would get like 10 transactions a year or something, like 10 a month maybe. Like, it wasn't that active, and the minute I switched on zaps, it was just like tens of thousands per month, right? And then we saw that we actually brought down Wallet of Satoshi multiple times because they were like, they couldn't handle the scale. I think we brought down Alby a couple of times. So this is just showing me, it's like this could make Lightning win, right? Like Lightning. This is what I struggled with when I was working on some other Lightning startups, was just no one was really using it that much. So if we create a way for people to get excited and use it more in cyberspace, like that was a great opportunity. And like, I feel like zaps have definitely served that role. Now, and in terms of how important it is for Nostr, I think it's like probably the most, what reason is a regular person going to come over to a new social network? Like, they already have all their friends on their network. Well, like, making money on posts is actually a huge, driver for a lot of people. So I think it's pretty important for its adoption. Some people are saying right now, like, well, it's hindering adoption because a lot of people don't like Bitcoin. And well, I'm like, I don't know, you don't have to use it. It's there. There's a lot of Bitcoiners on the network right now because we believe in this vision and we think it's pretty important. But yeah, Nostr is not just for Bitcoiners, and that's something we're struggling with now, is just to get more and more people in.
Yeah, that's very important.
Can you maybe explain the Zap feature to our listeners who are not yet using Nostr? Because we are always talking about Zaps, but what is it, and how does it work, and why is it such an important feature within Nostr clients like Damus?
Yeah, so this is a very like a hard problem in the early days of Nostr, which is like how, we all love that Stacker News experience where you can go and you can upvote things and you see like, the number of sats being attributed. But how do you do that in a decentralized way? The only way I can think about doing it is, imagine if your Lightning node received an invoice, you received a payment of with an invoice of a certain type, right? So the way we do it is we use LNURL, and you actually put a Nostr note within the description hash of the Lightning invoice, and then once the Lightning node receives that payment for that particular invoice, it knows that it was initiated from a Nostr client. So it knows that. So the Lightning node could then send a Nostr note to the network that says this was paid. This actual invoice was paid. So it includes the invoice information, includes who did the payment, like the actual Nostr identity who did the payment. So once that note, so in some sense, zaps are just receipts of Lightning payments and that are recorded on Nostr. So once we have that, you can sum them, you can display them on notes. So this little simple thing was like, it's amazing how much just having that information public. Like, a lot of people would cringe at that. Like, a lot of Bitcoiners, like, oh, your payments are public, but just having them public, it really gets people excited about wanting to tip people and show people that you're giving appreciation. And so some things are good when they're public, and I don't know.
And well, I
totally agree.
Yeah, we talked about it just before, but to get more people to adopt Nostr, enhancing user experience to regard to the onboarding process seems very important. And also to reach a broader audience, it needs to extend from Bitcoin related topics to wider variety of topics. I'm, for example, wedding photographer also, and I thought, let's put some content about the topic, and someone needs to start. And I've seen some other variety of topics already. But what do you think will help with this transition? And are you already busy in helping to change this?
Like, to get more people into Lightning right away?
Yeah, the grow Nostr hashtag, right?
Oh yeah, getting more like variety on the network. It's I feel like something's gonna blow up in a second.
You have, I think, 10 seconds. No,
it's
just finish.
We just gotta keep doing marketing and promoting, and outside of Nostr and Bitcoin, I think.
Right in time.
So
I think that's most important.
That's a mission, right? That's really something that needs to be done. Yeah.
I'm also very curious, man. We are now in, I think, well, it's just me, but I think Nostr isn't in a bear market because Nostr is just taking off and it's just, well, bull market all the way. But Bitcoin is in a bear market now. So there's not a lot of interest from people. I mean, just the ordinary people. Well, yeah.
What are you talking about, Steph?
Okay, we've just entered the first phase of the next bull market. Maybe I could put it that way, but
I'm very bullish about it.
There's no hype, you know. I mean, in my bubble, there's hype. I'm hyped all over the place.
We're in for the tech,
I'm super
Come
bullish.
on, Nostr is tech.
I know, but
it's having me.
But I know, but
it's not that far away.
And I think Nostr is not attached to Bitcoin in that way. I think, and especially if you're thinking about a broader audience, then it doesn't need
no, it isn't. But I think if you're getting interested in Bitcoin, you're getting interested in decentralized technology, then I mean, most of the people are active on Twitter or other social media platforms, and when you really got orange pilled, you're eventually going to go to your open account on Nostr.
I think there are a lot of Bitcoin users who are not using Nostr at the moment.
My favorite thing is making the onboarding process so streamlined for regular people. Like right now we have this technology called Nostr Wallet Connect. If you open up Damus and you click the LB button, you can get an LB account pretty quickly, and all of a sudden you can start receiving zaps. We want to make this even easier. I want it so right when you open up Damus, you have an LB account, and you can just start getting zaps instantly. And people are going to start using Lightning without even realizing they're using Lightning. This is the best thing about this thing, right?
Yeah. That's the most important. That is just there, and they jump into it using it and not knowing.
It literally happened with Edward Snowden. Everyone's like bugging him, like, put a L in your account. You're like, okay, fine. I thought Bitcoin was this slow thing. He didn't really, and he's like, whoa, this is amazing. I'm getting zaps. And if we did orange Edward Snowden, I don't know.
That's just crazy. That's the noise that is needed. That normal people are going to test it, use it because it's so easy.
And this is the flaw with
they just tell their friends.
And this is the flaw with a lot of I feel like a lot of Bitcoin conferences, and now it's just become everyone's just the same people, and they're talking about the same things. And how do we bring new fresh blood into this system? Because if you start talking to regular people about Bitcoin, they're like, oh, isn't it that scammy thing? And they roll their eyes. And they just they just don't want to jump into it.
Indeed.
Where do you jump in? It's just it's money. It's I get my wallet. Great. Now what do I do with it? So you really need to tie it to something social and fun, or else it'll probably never take off. So this is a huge opportunity for Nostr to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. And then in the end, they'll think, well, I didn't know that it's working with Bitcoin. It's another side of Bitcoin and Lightning that you can explain more easy, because Lightning is very difficult to explain. And if they're just using it and using something that is easy and fun, then
But there's a really interesting thing. There's a really interesting thing that's happening right now, which is people are saying, well, we're being irresponsible for onboarding people so quickly onto Lightning. And for instance, we were used to hey, everyone join Wallet of Satoshi, and now they basically closed down in the US App Store. So now all those people just got rugged. Now there's all this confusion. Yeah. So all of the non-custodial maxis, which I'm actually one of those people, but they're like, well, look, you just had a terrible experience for all these people. It's I don't know. I think that's why we just need better non-custodial solutions. The reason why we're using custodial is just it's easier to onboard people that way. So I think, but once maybe with Mutiny Wallet or some other Zeus is doing some good stuff.
Zeus.
We just need better non-custodial solutions, I think.
Yeah, Zeus Pay. Yeah. Well, that's a nice ending. That's it's something that we need to talk about soon again with a lot of other people who are working on that. Yeah.
Connect the world.
Yes, we have one question left for you, Will. And the nice thing is you may choose them yourself. You can choose. We pre-recorded 3 questions from previous guests. You can choose from Hendrik, from Torque, from Quinten de Baker from Albi or Olga Yugalova from RGB. So
I gotta do Quinten.
Quinten.
Sure, Albi.
And there he comes. Yeah, he's a nice guy.
Hi, I'm Quinten from Albi, and my question is, do you think L&D will ever lose market share as the most used Lightning implementation? And if so, which one will take its place?
Oh, this is a good one.
You're running Core
I'm
Lightning.
Super biased. My dream. I just think Core Lightning is just a much better dev experience. I mean, that's super controversial because everyone loves L&D for dev, but I honestly believe that CLN just with their plugin system is just so much better. So hopefully maybe and it's just easier to compile. I mean, for me, it's easy. It's a C program. You just run make and it's super fast. I've been running mine since 2018. I've never had to like get a new node or shut it down. It's super reliable. Really good at anyway. So I hope CLN takes over market share because it's so much better, but who knows?
Cool.
We're unbiased.
Thanks for the answer.
Yeah. Conecta el mundo.
Yeah, and thanks for the nice chat.
Yeah, thanks for joining.
Where can people follow you, man?
You can follow me on Nostr. My Nostr address is jb55 at jb55.com. So if you enter that into a client, that should give me my npub. You can also check out my website for my client, which is damus.io, where you can support us. And also store.damus.io if you want really sick Damus merch.
Cool. Yeah, I saw the t-shirts. I want me to get some.
Freedom wear.
Awesome. And thanks everybody else for listening, of course. And thanks to all members participating in the Satoshi Radio Rings of Fire. And of course, thanks everyone to connect the world with us. If you like our content, then please support us in our mission. Visit our website, connecttheworld.live, where you can also donate and subscribe, like, and share our content on your favorite platform. We need you to complete our mission, connect the world. So keep those nodes running. And of course, check out Nostr if you're not already on it. And keep those sats flowing and rings burning. And see you all next week on the same Lightning channel. Sampai, Will.
See ya.
Bye.